Baby, I just wanna dance with my pretty little Galway girl. You're my pretty little Galway girl. You know, she beat me at darts and then she beat me at pool, and then she kissed me like there was nobody else in the room. As last it was recalled was when she stood on a stool after dancing the Katie singing the trad tunes. I never heard Gareth Fergus ever sung so sweet. I could tell her in the bar using a beat for a beat. Oh, I could have my voice playing on repeat for a week. And in this nighttime room where she was singing to me, you know, she played her fiddle in an Irish band, but she fell in love with an Englishman. Kissed her on the neck and then I took her by the hands, and baby, I just wanna dance, my pretty little Galway girl. Closing time, I was holding a hand, the hand was holding mine. Our coats both smell of smoke, whiskey and wine. We fill up our lungs with the cold air of the night. I walked her home and she took me inside, finishing Doritos and another bottle of wine. I swear I'm gonna put you in the song I write about a Galway girl in a perfect night. She played the fiddle in an Irish band, but she fell in love with it.
Hope everyone can hear me. Please inform me if I'm audible. Let me lower some of that music. Am I audible? You're audible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's wait for some more people to get on. Oh. I'm waiting for my partner, Warren, to hop on. He's just hopped out of a meeting and had to pull over because he wanted to be on the call. So waiting for him to get on. That's my VIP, very important person. Oh, boss, this is recorded. This is gonna go into high definition production. That's how much I wanna have this recorded. It is 5 in the morning, New Delhi time. Shout out to everyone joining us all over the world. Appreciate you. I love everything you guys are doing. If you're coming in from Toronto, if you're coming in from the East Coast, we're looking at 6:30 p.m. Webinar is going to start at 8. That's going to be my hard stop, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. If you're my friends in London, if you're in GMT, it is almost midnight. Shout out to you guys. You're up a little bit later than that. If you're in Asia, you're probably not watching this because it is 5 in the morning. My Pacific friends, man, Pacific is like, feels like another world. If you're in California, Vancouver right now, it's 3:30. Shout out to Peterborough. Let's see if Warren's in the building. Is Mr. Carson in the building? Oh, there he is. Let me make him a panelist. How do you do that? Participants. And South California, Southern California, most beautiful place in the world. You guys are in the building. You're the envy of winters everywhere. I'm in Asia, so my winter's not that bad, but the gentleman that's about to join me on this call is definitely envying you. Let me see, how do I find it? All right, Warren, I'm promoting you to panelist. The Tundra, Toronto. Toronto's really had 2 good nicknames, hasn't it? First was T-Dot, now people call it the 6. I might make it famous and call it the Tundra.
Can you hear me, Shorupan?
I got you. I can hear.
Okay, fantastic.
Everyone else hear Warren? Can we give a WC if you can hear Warren? Put a WC in the chat. Yep, WC is in the building.
Hello. Cool, awesome.
All right, so, without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. We got a jam-packed agenda. Just want to make sure one more person is on. Is Justin in the building? Want to make sure Justin is in the building. Is Sal Khan in the building? Oh, Justin. Sal Khan is literally in the building. Literally is in that room over there. Okay, cool. One second, let me just get, 1 second, getting the link out to one last person. You guys, please, if you haven't, I know I'm gonna make this a shameless plug, go subscribe to the Broker Academy on YouTube, join the Facebook group. He is putting out more content than you can ever imagine on everything from training. We're actually in the process of integrating all of his Broker Academy videos into the back office under Broker Academy and onto the YouTube channel. But please keep up with him. He's on a mission. How do I share this? Invite, there we go. Beauty. Kia, let me see. You have the Global Exchange account, right? Yeah. Can you log in? I'm tagging you into something right now. Yeah, Global Exchange. Cool. All right, guys, let's rock and roll. I think I got all of the. There we go. Justin's in the building. Justin, you want me to make you a panelist? I know you're driving right now. I will toss you in. All right, great. Oh, Justin Kyle, I'm sorry. I need to start specifying. I was talking about the other Justin, but definitely would love to have you as a panelist as well. Let's see this right here. There we go. All right, boys, ladies, everyone, this is a very important call. I am going to speak very, very quickly, so I apologize for that in advance. It's not because I want to, it's actually because there's a ton of information. When I deliver information, especially ones that have contextual backgrounds, context, I do it with a lot of detail. And so in order for me to fit all that detail in, I have to speak fast because I do have an 8 p.m. hard stop because I have to do the webinar. So again, I want to get through everything. Everything I say right now is being recorded. You will all have a chance to speak. Raise your hand. I'll put you on. You can talk directly to us. You can ask us whatever you want. You can put it in the chat. You can be anonymous. You can be not anonymous. All completely up to you. Just know that everything you're going to say is recorded and will be going on YouTube and Facebook immediately. Sorry, Warren, were you saying something?
Yeah, just Michael is on as well, so he can ask whatever questions and whatnot as well.
If he knows how to use Zoom, he can ask questions or raise his hand. If not, Warren, if he's messaging you privately because he can't figure out something in the Zoom, just let me know. I'll toss him as a panelist and he can just talk. Get my point? So it's up to you. I'm cool to have Michael on as a panelist the whole time. All right.
Perfect.
Beautiful. So again, talk really fast. Apologize for that. Context for this meeting, guys, or context for this surprise Zoom is we had a series of, let's call them concerns, or let's call them questions, queries, posted in the Facebook group by a couple of brokers. One of them I know really well, someone I got to know over the last couple of months, Patrick, really well. A couple of them by new customers. And so we wanted to address them head on. I mean, one of the things you're going to realize for me is I will assure you that I will never back down from a good fight. Not that this is combative, but to me, business is like contact football. If you're going to get anywhere, you got to go straight into the contact. Hyper-transparency is the only way that we can move at the speed we wish to move. We move at an incredible pace. We move so fast that we break things very often. And to me, that's a feature. I completely appreciate how annoying that is. I mean, it's not just annoying to you guys, it's annoying to Warren. Tremendously annoying to him. I mean, he can speak on that. It's annoying to our institutional investors. It's annoying to everybody. To me, again, that's a feature. And at this stage, the only reason I've been able to maintain any semblance of control over that type of chaos is because we are painfully transparent. I mean, one of the things I loved, and I was saying to Sal before this call, was if you look at, I'm in, like, let's say 100 community groups that are not about global exchange, ICOs that I've invested in, and this, that, and the other. And all of them have extraordinary contentious conversations every couple days. That's nothing new. That's definitely nothing new in the crypto world. But what tends to happen is that the community gets polarized. They're the people, they're the small few that are disgruntled, and sometimes they're right in their disgruntlement, sometimes they're not. But anyway, they're disgruntled, they deserve to be addressed. And then what happens is that the majority of the supporters, the people that are not disgruntled, come to the aid of the company. And if you go from group to group to group, whether it's in Telegram or WhatsApp, not in ours, I'm talking about other companies, you can see that the defendants of the company are more or less making emotional arguments. I see that all the time. Hell, I've been one of those defendants of an ICO I've invested in, and someone's causing a ruckus, and I've stepped in and said, guys, like, think about the vision here, like, think about what we're doing. That's an emotional argument. That's me putting my belief in the project, the sanctity of the project. If you go and look at our group, there's no emotional arguments. No one is defending us emotionally. And I take tremendous pride in that. What that means, and if you please go and show me if there is one, what that means is everyone is cognizant of what they're dealing with. Everyone is cognizant of its shortcomings, and the shortcomings are a long list. And everyone is cognizant of where we are and what we've accomplished, and what we're going to accomplish is within the purview of realism. No one needs to defend us, including myself, saying, oh no, none of these things are true, and then we've gotten everything figured out, and the coin's going to $1 million. Don, that's not the case. None of those things are true. We have always been clear. These are the issues. These will continue to be the issues until we come to reasonable solutions. And in the midst of that hyper-transparency, we've been able to attract some great people. That's what I'm most proud about. I'm proud that while other companies literally have to kind of continue to promise things, we've been able to build a community on our shortcomings, based on the shortcomings. I mean, for those of you guys that build communities, you know how hard that is. It's like trying to sell yourself for a date, but farting all the time. That's the joke that I make. That I'm more appreciative of the fact that all the brokers, all our users have smelt our farts. Excuse my analogy. And even in the midst of that, there's value. There's current value, not future value. Of course there's future value, there's current value. And the reason I put that out there is because we're not here to sell some unrealistic expectation. I would be hard pressed for you to find one person whose complaint is, hey, I was promised that I was gonna get rich quick. I was promised that this is better, that the trading system is better than Binance tomorrow. I was promised this, that, and the other, that just were so unrealistic, and that's why they got in. The thing that maybe we have not lived up to in one angle is credit card processing. And we've repeatedly talked about that, and repeatedly updated everyone as soon as there were issues. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna make another video, completely raw, uncut video, talking about our history in credit card processing, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's all that. And so my point here is this: when we're talking about issues, nobody wants to hear those issues more than me. Literally nobody, for two reasons. Number one, I get off on them. That's the type of person I am. I love when things are, high intensity. And number two, I work with the development team every day. For almost 11 hours a day, I am working with developers, designing the architecture that you guys have good ideas about. You guys are seeing the bugs in. You guys are looking at the specifics of a new user and bringing up those complaints. I loved what James Clay, all of his comments I loved. I'm looking into the camera, looking into the site. Sorry, my Zoom is here, my camera is here. So let me fix that, Carrie, thank you. One of the things I loved was what James Clay put in that post. I said, hey guys, if you guys are not going to be on the call, want me to address things, hey, where did I go? There we go. If you guys want me to be on the call, and because if you guys are not going to be able to be on the call, but want me to address a question, please put it in and I will address it. And James very articulately laid out, I think, about 3 or 4 different technical bugs that need to be rectified. I don't mind if you guys do that all day. As a matter of fact, myself and Warren have given our personal phone numbers to listen to that all day. And Warren hates giving out his personal phone number, but he still did it because we understand that all the great ideas are not up here. Mind you, there's a lot that's up here, but all the great ideas are not up here. They're in the field. You guys have them, you're dealing with them. And so we are complaint loving. That's what I would say. And I'm gonna end it off with this before I actually started tackling the questions one by one, which is, you know, my greatest business idol, Jeff Bezos, who's obviously co-founder and CEO of Amazon, said one thing that I'll never leave my my conscious, let alone my subconscious. And he said, if you want to be successful as a founder, as someone building an enterprise, as someone working to progress an enterprise, do not keep anything in front of you. Don't keep your goals in front of you. Don't keep your competitors in front of you. Don't keep your distractions in front of you. Don't keep anything in front of you. Keep your customer in front of you. And the logic behind that is just astounding. Your customer will never be satisfied. He'll never be impressed. He'll never be happy with the incredible amount of work and sacrifice you did for him or her. Every day you do something, he'll want the next thing. And that is the continuous feedback loop. That's the type of like Kaizen iteration that we want to drive for. So guys, first and foremost, let's get that out of the way. Do not be hesitant to come and bring up issues. You can bring them in your WhatsApp chat. The reason the WhatsApp chat's there is because we don't want you going and talking about your personal finances in a community group, or your personal account issues. If you're cool with that, be my guest. We're incredibly transparent, as you're going to find out on this call. Let's rock and roll. Let's get into the questions here. So the first thing, and Warren, please do confirm if Michael is on and if he wants me to toss him in, like how we do. Oh, thanks, James.
He's on. Yeah, he's on. But yeah, Michael, you can either say something in the Zoom chat, or if you want to say it on the WhatsApp chat that you and I have, I can raise it for you as well. So whatever you need.
Yeah. We're addressing a person named Michael. We'll explain him in the context of this conversation. So first, let's talk. I'm going to share my screen, okay? Because, well, again, in the interest of transparency. Okay, this is my screen, right? I'm on my Facebook. I'm on the Facebook group. Where did I go? I disappeared there. Oh, wait, no, that's Warren. 1 second. There we go. So this is the Facebook group. Again, a great broker, fabulous broker of ours, someone we got to know well, Patrick, made a comment saying that it's difficult to get excited when existing clients' purchase have not been resolved, making 9 weeks today. Enjoy your success, brokers. Wish I could experience the same thing. All right, let's talk about that. I wish Patrick is on this call. If he is, please raise your hand. I'll throw you into the panel. We can talk about it directly. If not, I will give the most objective overview. And he's more than willing to correct me if I say anything that is slightly out of the inaccurate, is slightly inaccurate. I think he is raising his hand, actually. Let me see. Hey, buddy, is that you? Patrick, whoever just raised their hand, I just allowed them to talk. So if you say something, I will be able to hear you.
Can you hear me, Shorupan?
I can. Is that yourself, Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so you're currently unmuted, so you can, you can chime in. This first section is going to be a conversation about obviously what's transpired with you and your customer. We're going to try to keep that succinct and on point, and then because we got a bunch of other things to talk about as well. But I wanted to give you the chance to talk on that. I know Michael's in here, so if Michael wants to talk on that, he could talk on that as well. But when you're not speaking, just mute yourself, okay? Because I do hear some background noise.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to essentially try to summarize exactly what occurred here. I'm going to let Patrick add his 2 cents or add his point of view, and we're going to actually propose this to everybody as to what is the feasible solution. So we have, until last week, we've had only a Canadian bank to settle wire transfers in. What that means is, no matter where you lived in the world, if you wanted to buy something from Global Exchange, you needed to wire the money to a Canadian bank. Now, if you're a Canadian citizen like us, that is very simple. If you are not, there is the standard weight, hold, and complexities of an international wire transfer. And so most of our customers were Canadian. That's pretty obvious. Lots of our customers were from the US, not the most, but some of them, and were willing to transfer to Canada. Patrick has had several customers, I'm sure he could talk to that, he could talk on that, several customers that have transferred the money to a Canadian account, transactions been fulfilled, and everything has gone according to protocol. I believe at the beginning of October, again, I might be butchering that date, Warren, step in if I am. I think at the beginning of October, Patrick reached out to us via his support chat and said, hey, I have a customer who wants to make a purchase of Bitcoin totaling about 100,000 US dollars. Immediately, I told my support agent, hey, can you give me a second? He's transferring from the US. I want to see if we have a domestic option for this one transaction. So I called one of our partners, like the company's partners, and whose name is Aaron Hunt. And I said, hey boss, we have a transaction. I heard that you were setting up this US fulfillment service. Can we leverage yourself for this transaction so that there's a simple wire transfer for the customer? He said, no problem. The bank is at Signature Bank, New York based, all fantastic. So I took that back, not me literally, actually the support agent took it back to Patrick and said, hey, it's a go. You can tell him to shoot it over. And we literally, in his WhatsApp chat, our support agent passed on the wire transfer information to Patrick. Patrick's customer then went and transferred the money to this US account held by this third party. So this is where we made our error. There's no question about that. At this point, we made a cataclysmic error because out of the thousands of transactions we've done, I think we've outsourced like 4. And realistically, they usually have nothing to do with size because people have wired $250,000, $500,000 to our Canadian bank for a single transaction. It more has to do with the banking situation of that country. For some reason, this time, we were inclined to do it. Huge mistake. Obviously, anyone walking into a huge mistake typically doesn't know it's a huge mistake. But nonetheless, that is where we made our mistake. So Patrick's customer sends over the funds, okay? And we put Patrick's customer, name is Michael, directly in contact with Aaron, who is now the beneficiary on the account that the funds landed in, as well as the person who's gonna fulfill this transaction. We have a group chat with them. Both Michael and him have communicated via phone multiple times and by messages. And for the better half of about 4 weeks, it was only comms between them two. We stepped out, and I know Patrick was just assuming the transaction would go as normal. And if you review the transcripts, which were completely transparent to make open, all the transcripts are showing is back and forth between Aaron and the customer about some KYC requirements. And the fact that money was transferred from a trust as opposed to an individual, blah, 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 banking stuff. Okay, fine. That's not pleasant. It's not pleasant for us, not pleasant for the broker, not pleasant for the customer, not pleasant for the person who received the funds. So it basically means the bank's being a pain in the ass. Well, we all know how that is the reality. So we didn't think anything strange of it. Finally, I know that Michael did submit every document that was asked of him. And then what occurred? Go ahead.
Shorupan,
yeah.
Just to be clear, it's Michael's brother Douglas who submitted all of the information.
I am so sorry. Yes, technically, I'm aware of that, but consciously I didn't address it. Technically speaking, it was Michael's brother who's the owner of the funds and the owner of the transaction. However, Michael is the one that's doing the entire transaction on his behalf. I'm just addressing him. He's the one that's publicly dealing with this. So there's a slight technicality, but thank you for clarifying that, Warren. So 5 weeks into it, Patrick, myself, everyone who's reasonably involved are like, yo, where's this transaction? What's going on? As the customer should be very angry at this point. Like, yo, I want my coins. And what we got wind of from the third party was that the Signature Bank had frozen the funds due to the way that the wire came in abruptly. Now, can we prove that's a real story? No. And we're going to address that as well. But that is the story that we heard. What money went, US dollars went from bank account held by customer directly to Silvergate, New York City. Okay, so
Signature, not Silvergate.
Signature. I'm so sorry. Signature. I always confuse the two. It is Signature. You can Google it. Very medium-sized mid-market bank. Okay, great. Anyway, now we got the story that the funds are frozen by said bank. If any of you have had your funds frozen, the bank will threaten to shut your account down and then reimburse the funds to the account holder via check. That's at least how it's done in North America. It's not, maybe other parts of the world do it differently. We've had our accounts, not just like business account, personal accounts, other business accounts, shut down many a times. And we've navigated through that banking environment. And every time it's the same procedure. Funds get frozen, bank will inform you in like 2 days because they don't really care to inform you immediately. Only they'll inform you once you can't move the money and you ask them. They're gonna say, come in for a meeting. They're gonna sit with you, they're gonna interrogate you, say what's going on, what's this, that, the other. You're gonna be like, well, this is this, that, and the other. And they're gonna be like, well, because of our policy A, B, and C, we have to close your account. And you're gonna be like, fine, just give me my money. And they're gonna be like, oh, we'll write you a check in your name. Paulus, that is standard procedure. Maybe someone can educate me if there's a bank in the US or Canada that does something separate. Okay, fine. So we now got wind that this is what's occurring. Mind you, Michael and Aaron are in constant communication. And by constant, I mean phone calls once a week, twice a week, group chat, transcripts, everything is there. And it's just cordial communication back and forth. Okay, week 7, week 8 comes, which is like 2-3 weeks ago. And of course, everyone's had enough. Why wouldn't they have enough? Who wouldn't be angry at this circumstance? Obviously, the customer has been treated like it's horrible how he's been treated. And Patrick, rightfully so, should be defending the fiduciary obligation of his customer. And we, who are just, at this point, nothing but bystanders, are implicitly, we are feeling that, oh my goodness, what have we done? Okay, now starts what I call non-legal litigation. For those of you that have been in combative arrangements, particularly involving large sums of money, there's always a part of the conversation which escalates from, okay, well, this is going to happen cordially to this is going to happen in a contentious fashion, but we're not going to involve third-party institutions, regulators, law enforcement officials, etc. We're going to now try to enforce our will to do it. Okay, that happened for about 2.5 weeks. We were chasing after the person, not literally chasing, but obviously calling.
Shorupan?
Yeah.
Just to be clear, it's been 4 weeks at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm leading up to a point that I made. I know, Warren, that's the case, but I'm talking about the day where I drew the line in the sand. Okay, so
okay, fair.
Yeah, so there after reasonable wait time, actually much more than reasonable. The customer has been very patient. Then we head into what I call non-legal litigation. Litigation implies that it's involving the judiciary, but I'm saying non-legal because it's essentially litigating without taking it to the courts. We do that for 2 weeks. We get nowhere. We get the runaround. We get, oh my God, the funds are being held now in a different bank because Signature has closed that bank, and that bank is now holding it because in Canada, if you deposit a check, they hold it for 7 business days, 5 business days. Everything that we heard.
Sorry, I just want to be clear. In Canada, in particular from TD, you can go right onto the website. I have the official documentation. When a check comes in that is U.S. funds, comes into a Canadian bank account, they can hold it for up to 30 business days.
And I've seen cases of 7, I haven't seen cases of 21. I do not put it past any bank in the world to do 30 plus if that's what they feel like. So Warren is correct. That's obviously very verifiable information. You go on any bank and they'll tell you. Anyway, after 2 weeks of non-legal litigation, I had had enough. Definitely Michael had had enough and Patrick had had enough. They're wondering like, what's going on here? Is this like some convoluted scheme? And I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, I'm in Asia and Timbuktu trying to deal with something that's happening on the East Coast. Okay, so what I say, and I could give you the date for this, I could show you the entire transcript. I say is, if this is not resolved by Monday, when I say we, I'm talking about Global Exchange. To be specific, if you want to go look up the corporate registration, GX Technology Group Inc. Incorporated, Canadian Federal Corporation. That's the parent company for Global Exchange, underneath which sits all the corporate assets and intellectual property. I say we, as a company, will now begin legal proceedings against the third party to repatriate the funds. I give a deadline as of Monday. That Monday was 2 Mondays ago, maybe 3 Mondays, don't quote me on that, but in that vicinity. That Monday rolls around, nothing better has come, we're just getting the runaround. Okay, fine. So now, me, Warren, Patrick, Michael get on a Zoom and we not explain because all of us are obviously witnessing this in live time, we go over the current situation. Both Michael and Patrick are rightfully irate. Who wouldn't be irate? I mean, it's a horrible situation. Me and Warren are tremendously annoyed and empathetic to the fury of the customer. And so now we lay it out. This is now the legal architecture of what happened. And again, anyone who is more astute or acute than me on this subject, or has had a similar circumstance happen and settled in the past, feel free to chime in. If you're watching this in replay, feel free to comment on Facebook, on YouTube. I'd love to hear from what your angle is. Fiat currency was transferred from the owner, Michael's brother, let's call it Michael for now, his bank, to Signature Bank held by Random Corporation, which is the third party. Okay? That transaction is documented. There's wire transfer receipts on both sides. Obviously, when Michael walked into his bank, he had to give them all the information. Those of you that know, that have wired money to Global Exchange, you know how the process is. They ask you for everything. They ask you what you had for breakfast today. So the banks know that that transaction happened, and that transaction via the SWIFT network got fulfilled and ended up in Signature. Beyond that, there is no evidence on what occurred. The funds could still be in Signature. The funds could have gone into another bank. What we do know is that Signature has received funds from this bank using US SWIFT. Okay. Now, from what I said on that Monday, when I got on the call with all the relevant parties is, okay, the only way the money is getting returned at this point is if there are charges pressed on the Canadian side against the individual. That individual's a Canadian citizen. We know everything about him. We know where he lives. We know everything. So legal proceedings have to begin on the legal, pure law, judiciary front on that front. And then a fraud investigation has to begin with Signature and the bank. Now, typically what will occur in that circumstance when the sending bank just goes over to Signature, or you go directly to Signature and say, listen, we were a victim of fraud. Look at the bank transfer details, money landed, you fulfilled this transaction, they will reverse it. Or they'll put you, let me be very clear, obviously no bank works like that. They will put you into a dispute resolution and blah, 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 but eventually, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it gets resolved. Do you know why? I will tell you why, because I've been both the victim and involved in transactions like this. You cannot run away with fiat currency. I assure you of that. Not in the definitely not in the United States. Everything in the United States is based off of financial surveillance, meaning this is a very reversible fund, very reversible transaction. If the right party, which is the party that owns the send out, goes and does the proper propositions with the two banks involved. They're banks, they're not people behind a street alley. Okay, Silvergate at that point, Signature at that point can come back and say, wait, guys, the funds landed, but we released the funds to this gentleman. Here's the proof of that. Perfect. You got all the evidence you need for the investigation that me and Warren have already enacted to conclude itself. Silvergate says, no, we've frozen the funds. Perfect. Please return them to the owner. No matter what occurs, whether a wire went out of Silvergate, a check went out of Silvergate, anything that occurred, we know that that's signature. I'm so sorry, Silvergate. Don't hold this against me. I'm looking to get an account with you guys. Signature. That is the method of repatriation. I've gone through it many times in my life. I've seen my friends go through it. Now, why are we doing it on both fronts? Because we're going to see which knob turns first. We're pressuring one side. Obviously, we're going after the guy. He's not going to be happy. That's a federal criminal suit. That's RCMP. That's everyone that you want to go after. Like, that's a basic theft suit on the Canadian front. On the US front, it's a bank-to-bank dispute resolution. That works in homogenization to repatriate funds. There is no result here where the funds aren't repatriated unless this approach is not taken. And that is what I informed all parties on Monday. I said, listen, what we need to do now is Global Exchange, for the first time in this transaction, needs to step in and take control of the litigation on behalf of Michael, because until now, Michael was speaking for Michael. We will spend the money, the legal costs, the time, the pain of dealing with these institutions to see this through until the end, because I'm 150% sure the funds are getting repatriated because it's fiat currency. If it was crypto, sorry guys, can't help you there. It's fiat currency. This is US bank-to-bank transfers, right? It's not where out here in Asia. So, and this is where I want Patrick to step in, because I'm never gonna put words in someone's mouth. I thought everything until then I described objectively. Now, this is where there was a difference of opinion. And I will be the first person to say that if I was in their position, I would probably have the same level of anger, because they didn't sign up for this. They didn't sign up for any of this. They signed up to buy Bitcoin like thousands of our other customers have done and never blinked an eye. And so what Patrick felt like, and Patrick, feel free to interject now, is that we should, as a company, refund the money and then deal with Aaron individually. Is that correct, Patrick?
Yes.
Perfect. So I characterized that correctly. Okay, great. And what I said back to that, and I delivered it maybe once or twice, but really Warren has been now the one on this case because he's the one in Toronto in proximity to it. What we said was, we do not have the power to go after him because there is no transaction between us and him. The only way this is getting resolved is if Mr. Fox, the victim, the sender of the currency, is the litigator. We will bear the cost time-wise and financially for that to occur, so he doesn't have to worry about it. But I can understand why Patrick at that point, sick and tired as he should be, disappointed as he should be, didn't want to, give it up, that just didn't want to go down that road, which would, if he agreed with what I was proposing, it would essentially have ensured this would have gone on for another 3-4 weeks, because now you're litigating with a bunch of slow bureaucratic institutions around Christmas time. And I can understand why Patrick felt that maybe he should explore other options. And that is why that manifested itself into the comment. And I'm sure he's seeked legal advice, as he should. He should seek many different types of advice. But at the end of the day, right now, the company and the customer are in the same team. No doubt.
Okay.
I'm gonna be the first person to say it. I'm gonna let you speak right after this, Patrick.
Sure.
Listen, if I was an attorney in the United States and someone came to me with this case, I would have said to the customer, you sue both of them. Go after both of them. Why not? Go after Global Exchange for negligence and go after this for fraud. Why not? Let's try to get both the payouts. And this is what I will tell you, having a lot of friends who are attorneys, particularly this type of financial prosecution. They are, or whoever is, they will not explain the lack of a gold treasure chest on the other side of this. That's what I'm aware of. I'm aware of, if we waste our time bickering between each other, the actual funds that are there for the taking, that just involving some annoying characters, banks and whatnot, is never actually getting done. And we can tear each other to pieces. And you can bring the greatest arguments against why we are 150% responsible. We can come back and our legal team can say, absolutely not, this, that, and the other. And we can go on until the cows come home. And all that will happen, I assure you, we will spend money out of our legal budget and you will spend money out of the lack of a legal budget, because individuals don't typically have legal budgets for this type of stuff. Time will get wasted, and at the end of the day, there will be no settlement, because the proof of transaction is not there between our two entities. We can go down that road. I'm willing to make everything transparent because I have nothing to hide. What I want to do is face the unfortunate reality and say that, okay, the last person in the world that wants to deal with regulators from this perspective and wants to deal with banks is Shorupan. But I know that this will get the job done. Is it going to be easy and quick? Absolutely not. For those of you who ever tried to repatriate funds in the United States, you know that, but it will get done. And so that's where we stand today. I'm sure, I'm gonna let Patrick speak. I'm gonna give him his chance. What we want is this. I want the customer to get his funds or his coins or whatever he wants at this point. I want to give him some token to just, not literally a token, I'm saying something that can at least in a minuscule way remedy this pain that we've caused him. And I want him to stop dealing with this. Now, the method that I can see that being attained, I just explained. If anyone, including Patrick or Michael, has an alternative that they see more feasible, let's explore that.
Sure, Pan, thanks. This is Patrick. Yeah, thanks for having the call. At this point, you know, I'm not able to pursue any legal action because I'm really not a party to it. And I think the Foxes have been patient. What we're trying, and the communication between Aaron and the Foxes has not been regular.
Yeah.
And the communication has been very poor. And that's one of the big frustrations when, you know, he's asking for, he's been very cordial when he's been discussing with Aaron. But what we're trying to determine is when Aaron said that he had to withdraw from that bank, they closed his account and he was depositing that check to another bank.
Yep.
To this day, we still don't have the date that check was deposited.
Yeah, or proof of
we
that.
We can, and Shorupan, I understand banks. You know, you explained that very well about how banks operate, but they do have to follow their protocols and the RD&D, and we understand Canada can hold it up to 30 days. But what we're trying to find out is when that check from Aaron was actually deposited, so that at least we have a calendar to go by.
Yeah. So I agree with you completely, 100%. So first of all, I have a message from Michael here in the WhatsApp chat. So Michael, I'm reading the chat, and Michael is emphasizing the fact that I kept saying 4 weeks when it was actually 9 weeks if we're including this week. And I want to correct myself. It's been that long. What I'm saying is for the past 4, if not 5 weeks, is when this has gone from, oh, this is not happening the way that we wanted it to this is going to have to happen by force. So I keep referring to that period of time because that has been the most contentious with the most abrupt and lack of communication. So I'm not saying that it's been 4 weeks. I want to clarify that for you, Michael. Number two, it's saying that Doug spoke with Signature today and it was never said that on Monday. He's still talking about Doug should call Signature then. That was suggested this week. So I'm assuming what he's trying to say, Warren, maybe you could decipher that a little better, but I'm assuming what he's trying to say is that the idea for Doug to call Signature only came about this week. Is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed it a while back, but it was really defined this week that really need Douglas to engage with Huntington, which is the original bank that sent the funds, over to Signature and have a conversation with both of those two banks, because again, from our standpoint, we try and call, they won't speak to us because we're not a party of this transaction in any way.
Yeah, so again, I want to address that with what he's saying. I myself—
And Shorupan,
go ahead.
Shorupan, I want to put this up front. I never questioned your integrity and your desire to take care of this transaction. That's not a question, okay? And I don't think it's Fox's question either. Yeah. And we realize that, there's been mistakes. What we would like is communication, and your communication with your third party, it has to be better unless the communication is completely broke down.
Yeah. And
over the last, Shorupan, I'm just gonna
go ahead.
So from the third party, yes, the communication definitely is, been broken down a little bit, but myself and Michael have been communicating almost on a daily basis for the last couple weeks at least.
So let me actually just address Patrick's point, because that's absolutely a valid point, and then I'll address additionally what Michael has put in this chat. Number one, look, until it got bad, I didn't bring Warren into this. Sorry, excuse me. I didn't bring Warren into this because I thought that it would be resolved in cordial fashion, as we all did. Once it came to that point, I assigned Warren to deal with this on a daily basis. He's been informing me that type of communication, Warren is typically good with communication, that it's there. So if he's saying it's there, and I believe that it is, and that's the least we can do. I mean, there's not one, I respect Patrick so much because of how much he cares about his customer. I wish I could also sit and be on that side and just, kind of push toward a solution. But the unfortunate thing for us is that we have to, in order to get to a solution, we had to make some decisions. And really what was postponed was those finite decisions. As we just illustrated in front of everyone on this call, number one was that I had brought up in passing going to Signature as the default mechanism 2 Mondays ago. But that wasn't a clear decision. That wasn't a definitive decision. And I can say that this entire transaction has had a lot of those things where, one person says this in passing, in messages, in a phone call, but then those weren't definitive on all parties, and it wasn't held accountable. And that breaks down communications, even if the people want to communicate. And so I could see a lot of this having to do with that. I do appreciate Warren, and I know that as Michael says right now, he's appreciating the work that Warren is doing to rectify the situation. But this is what we want to do. At this point, this has caused Michael time, and he believes it's cost him obviously a financial loss. I'm assuring him there's no financial loss except the opportunity cost on the money that he could have made on those funds. That I can't, unfortunately, he's right. That's for sure. If he was able to flip that Bitcoin, then that's lost. But what I'm assuring is that if we're able to definitively agree on the plan that was set forth, and maybe we can put this in writing and no issue with that, then we're essentially facing our maker in the ways that, okay, we're going to the law enforcement officials, we're going to the banks. That's happening. Doesn't matter if tomorrow we get good news or bad news or sideways news. It's happening. Once we do that, like even simple thing like this, once we had this call, there's no turning back. So once we do that, we now know this is going to enter the bureaucracy of a bank. It will get resolved. It will take time. All we want to do is limit the onerosity on the customer. We ask for that privilege. We don't demand that privilege. Like I said, it is reasonable to be upset. No, it's not pleasant by any metric. Has Michael been patient? I don't think you could have asked for a more patient person. I've had the pleasure of speaking to him 2 or 3 times throughout this process on the phone, and obviously messages a lot. These two are incredible people, which makes this even more painful. But I, unfortunately, as the bearer of the last, as Harry Truman used to say, the buck stops here. The buck stops on my desk. I need to make the next move. And so that next move comes with definitive, concrete realizations that, all right, we're going to signature, we're going to regulators. Warren is on the ground with our legal team, ready to make that happen. Is it painful? Sure. Is it at least concrete answers? Yes. And so that's where we stand today. I just wanted to make this transparent because number one, I think this is a learning experience. It's a learning experience for us. This is obviously a learning experience for everyone else. And we wanted to show, hey, this is where our shortcomings are. This is where we made a mistake. This is where we did, this is where we would try to rectify that. This is how we would handle a situation like this in the future. However, obviously at this point, we've decided never to go down this path again by outsourcing the transaction.
Shorupan, I just want to add, you make a good point with the money being in fiat and it's moved between banks. So maybe it's a matter of getting to the right bank and having those funds reversed.
Yeah.
The question is, are the funds still in the final destination bank?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Obviously, that's the pending fear, the uncertainty here is that, well, what if this was a well-orchestrated operation whereby the funds are no longer in the bank? The great thing about fiat is that even if out of the United States, you're still dealing with the SWIFT network and you're still dealing with entities, banks, whether in Canada or the US, and obviously this is a North American transaction, that they have to listen to this. There's no mechanism of escapism. Even if it's left that, it's gone somewhere. I'll give you the most radical example because this was brought up to me, and this is how conducive fiat is to repatriation. Let's say that the funds that were wired to signature were converted to crypto. At that point, that stops being a banking issue and becomes a legal issue. So as long as the funds are in fiat, sitting in a bank, probably signature if you ask me, this is a banking issue. All the regulators and the law enforcement official will be like, yo, once this bank says it's out of our hands, all right, call us in, we begin. So I would say 99% sure that this will be resolved within the banking network. If you've talked to banks, they're not easy people to deal with, but they will have to listen to you, especially if it's the person sending in. We are willing to deploy the legal resources in conjunction with Mr. Fox to be able to do that. If by the random chance that elevates out of there, we're talking about a Canadian citizen whom we have all information on, whom, if you've been to Canada, it's a pretty well-regulated area, probably more consumer protection than even in the United States. That's easily then will be solved on the judiciary front. I mean, this is organized. This is meant for a professional to handle at this point. I just want to make sure that we remain, as painful as it is, as disappointed as you should be, that we remain on the same team, because not being on the same team, as you so eloquently pointed out, doesn't help anyone. You guys and us, we can continue to go back and forth, not going to change anything. At this point, we need to go and meet the fire where it is, and the funds will get repatriated. Yeah, even if it's in crypto now, wherever that transaction happened, that crypto to crypto, that's the point that law enforcement officials will step in. It is.
Well, Shorupan, I got a question.
Talk to me.
The Signature Bank in New York.
Yeah.
They demanded that Aaron close that bank account. Is that correct?
That is what we've been told. Yes, that is what we've all been told. Correct.
So if they issued a bank check to him,
yeah,
and that check has not been cleared,
yeah,
then possibly Signature can pull those funds back.
I know that first of all, if that exactly what you just said happens, 100%, I'm almost 100% again. Now, no, we don't have any concrete facts on the details of that, but I'm positive the funds are still at Signature. If they're not, they were issued in a human's name. This is a great thing about banks, and this is the worst thing about banks. When they shut your account down, let's say the account's name is Shorupan's name. They won't give you anything. They won't wire the money. They won't send it to a convenient place for you. They will give you a check in your name that you can only cash at another bank account in your name. And so via check, it's settling in fiat currency in the name of the person that Signature wrote that check to. That's highly, highly traceable and even better retrievable, right? Because again, you're talking about institutions that have default fraud alerts. They could have just been holding the money this whole time. In Aaron's case, he might just been negligent and incapable of dealing with them. I mean, all of that will get uncovered as soon as we take the approach that I outlined. And so, yeah, I mean, if what you said right now, I'm almost positive it's still at Signature. If it's not at Signature, it's in a Canadian bank. And both the Canadian bank and Signature will definitely, without one shred of doubt, repatriate. We just need to go ahead, fill those forms, call those people. Warren is a very convincing person when trying to get his way, so I will deter this to him at this point. I think I have Mr. Fox raising his hand. Let me see if I can shoot him in. I don't know. He raised his hand and put it down. Sorry, boss. I can't seem to hear you there. I think he put his hand down. Okay, cool. So, guys, I wanted to put this out there because we're in this together. This is not the fight that we want. We're willing to fight. Trust me. Like I said, we're willing to fight. This is not the fight that we want. And all that we want to do is make sure that, again, obviously never happens in the future, and that everyone is clear that there are these externalities in this process. The greatest exchange in the world, whether it's Coinbase or, well, Binance doesn't take fiat deposits, Coinbase will have the same issues as they're scaling out. And, is that a justification for what happened to Michael? Of course not, nothing is. But at this point, we need to work together and be transparent with the community and talk to people and get their advice, and you seek attorneys. We have great attorneys, both sides of the border, that we will leverage for the situation. If I was to be optimistic, I would say this will get wrapped up in 3 weeks. If I was to be pessimistic, it will get wrapped up in 5, only if tomorrow morning Warren makes the necessary phone calls. Warren, do you want to touch on that at all?
No, that's clear. The only thing that could slow it down just in a reality situation is the fact that it is around the Christmas time, and sometimes engaging some of the legal entities and the banks and whatnot is a little more difficult.
Yeah, that's why it's important that it gets started tomorrow, like aggressively, right? I mean, there's always, everyone here has called their bank, and then everyone here has called their bank, right? And if you know what I'm talking about, there's a difference when you're just calling your bank to saying, hey, I lost my card or something, to saying, oh, there's been some problem in my account, money's missing, money, blah, 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 blah. So I would trust in Warren and our attorney to call the bank and make it clear that they don't want this problem any more than we want this problem. And typically banks are reasonable along those fronts. So that's what we will do. Is there any reconciliation apart for the pain that's been caused? I mean, I wish I could say something, yeah.
Yeah, I do want to be, somewhat clear on that because of some of my discussions with the legal team and whatnot. Is we do have significant limitations because we are not the victim in this scenario as well.
When I'm saying we, I'm not saying Warren individually. I'm saying Warren on the phone with the customer, simply because Warren is obviously positioned to be an authority figure along with our attorney, if that's necessary, to handle this. I mean, typically customers are more mellow. Definitely we want to just expedite this as aggressively as possible. And I know Warren will do that. That's what I mean. I just mean in conjunction. And that's another reason why that relationship has to be there, at least until the end of this. Hey guys, once this is over, this is the type of person I am. Once this is over, please go announce to everyone how painful it was. And I will stand there, put my hands up and be like, watch the video that was recorded. All of this really happened. This really did happen. In the year 2019, my company did maybe 5,000 Bitcoin transactions over $5,000. And it happened once and it was painful. And this unfortunately did happen, but at least please, let's speak about it. Let's demonize or glorify the outcome once it's settled, because right now everyone's focus should be on settlement. So I hope that addresses everything. I hope that kind of gives you a sign of where we're at transparently. It's trust me, guys, and I don't say this arrogantly. I really hope I don't diminish the pain that the customer's gone through when we say this, but we are not in this business for this type of transaction. This doesn't make me and Warren saints. We don't ever claim to be saints, but we are very aware of what we're doing from a legal and regulatory perspective to know that this type of mess is not worth it for anybody. And we are, the fees would have been made on this would have gone all back into the broker chain. That it has nothing to do with that. It has more to do with the fact that how can we make it better for the next Michael, and how can we get this settled for Michael? So I'd like to end it there unless there's something someone wants to say. If not, I do have to address the rest of the points in the next 30 minutes.
No, I'm going to hop off, Shorupan. Thanks for addressing this. And Warren, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And so Fox has a track to run on right now.
Yeah.
And it's just taking the necessary steps until they track it down.
Yep.
So we'll press on.
Yeah, Warren will speak. Warren will speak to Fox after this call or in the morning, whatever's easy for him. Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
We have
Thank you, Patrick, for your time.
Yeah, we have our utmost in confidence in what you're doing, Shorupan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
All right. So
good night.
Good night. All right, guys, let's rock and roll into the next string of let's call them GX. I don't know, GX hot seat. That might be a good name for this. Let's see. This will be quick. I mean, to be honest, guys, that deserved a longer investment allocation of this hour and a half, because everything else, more or less, I can, it's just funny to me. So
hold on, man. Let me refill my popcorn.
Oh my goodness! I was just staring at this animal that keeps eating this popcorn, and I was wondering, like, my goodness. All right, so let's rock and roll. So we have so Jerry Teal, who I believe is maybe a user and definitely not a broker yet. Even if he's not a user, it doesn't matter. Makes a point. Hey, yes, Patrick, something's not right here. Lack of competence and brokers' promises lead to distrust. You know who agrees with that? This guy. Lack of competence and broken promises lead to distrust. If we have done that, and we can, and that's clear, it's black and white. Please distrust us. Actually, I wrote a whole book on Bitcoin. I teach courses on the blockchain. I don't believe in trust. I believe in systems that allow everyone to work together well. And of course, this type of stuff, if it is apparent by me or Warren or anyone else that represents this company, should lead you to distrust it and should lead you to reel these accusations. But my only gripe comes along with the fact that I don't see those tangible signs of distrust. Is there sentiment issues in when people hear about something like what happened with Patrick? Of course, if you heard about the fact that Tim Hortons, ripped you off for an ice cap or something, or ripped off your friend, you would be pissed off too. But that doesn't inherently make Tim Hortons incompetent. I think that what it does is it is unfortunate that Tim Hortons didn't have a Zoom call like this to address in detail what happened on that day. That's what we want to do, and he's completely right. Okay, so Mr. Steve Chamberlain, who is, again, another fellow Canadian. Hype is one thing, but quality is more important. Let's hope that the usability issues can be addressed. Again, he could just quote Shorupan, or I could quote Steve. Hype is one thing. Let me say this, and I don't mean to be comical. This is the least exciting company in the world. The GX token is the least exciting token on planet Earth. Never have we ever explained anything that's exciting. I go to sleep at night thinking like, wow, I'm surprised anybody wants to work in this company because it's so boring. Our pitch is about don't buy and sell the next hot stock, be like an exchange and make transactional revenue. That's like something your economics professor would teach you. We're like anti-hype. Do we have elements of where we're excited when people are succeeding inside of GX Broker? Of course. I think that's natural. For the longest time, we were accused of not having a community. Now the community is thriving. I can also appreciate why that can get misconstrued as hype. But please don't for 1 second think that the hype is overshadowing the substance. I assure you, I've invested in dozens of startups, dozens of companies, dozens of anything you can imagine, I've done. Trust me. This is the most boring thing you'll ever see from the perspective of hype. We are looking like we're exciting because we're tackling a real problem, because we're coming to solve something. But this is like building, like an electricity grid. You're adding new customers every day. That's slowly contributing to your revenue. Over time, you'll be General Electric. It's not it's not like come strike it rich tomorrow. So if Steve is referring to the fact that online, there's more emphasis on congratulating and community building than there is on hardcore technical updates, then I can understand what he's saying. Maybe our YouTube channel is more proficient for something like that. But guys, I've been to a lot of opportunity meetings in my life. This is, if I went to a global exchange opportunity meeting, I would be like, guys, like it's kind of boring. So I don't think hype is the accurate word to describe us. And should the usability issues be addressed? Of course. I don't sleep, or by the way, I never want to seek like empathy. I love what I do. I can't sleep when the stupid, excuse my language, like something on the mobile responsiveness doesn't work, or again, think about the complexity of some of these systems. And for anyone that understands computer science, which I know Steve does, I've had conversations about him like that. The dependencies are incredible. You're seeing some of that. You touch something here and something else will break. If I was to open up the code base for GX Nitrous, it's in the hundreds of thousands of lines. And again, no one should feel sorry. What did I say? Chase your customers. Doesn't matter if you give them a diamond, they're not going to be happy. So, but I just want to make one thing clear, and I know it kind of sounds funny. Trust me, hype is not the right word to describe us. Maybe something more like a slow growing plant that eventually grows into a big tree or forest is a better description. Okay, I cannot put my trust in the platform until Patrick's client's issues are resolved. Very reasonable. The first thing I was taught in sales was, guys, if a friend of a customer who's been hurt you're talking to him, you're not getting that sale. I knew that when I was 17. You are not getting the sale of someone. Doesn't matter if your company is selling like water in a desert. You're not getting the sale if his friend has been hurt by you, or at least feels like that. We need to do better, and just like things like this call to address that. So just want to make that clear. All right, let's talk about Chris Potter, which I know, from my understanding, I haven't met the gentleman, but he is in a WhatsApp chat with me, and me and him had a long conversation via WhatsApp on Sunday, which I'd love to release, the transcripts for, because most of the things he's bringing up is legitimate. I think there's a little bit of like showmanship in there, which I can appreciate. But it's really simple. I mean, every single question he's asking has a completely straightforward response, which is why it's simple to address. And the one question, which is why do we do things in private? I mean, if you call your bank or any company, if you go on Binance's support, they're gonna say they want to first authorize that it's you, because they won't even let your mother talk on your behalf to them about your account. So it's not a mechanism of like, oh, we want to hide it. It's no, we're dealing with people's sensitive information. There's a reason that we set up 1 million WhatsApp chats. That's costing me money to do that WhatsApp for business and to manage that type of support management. We're doing it because we feel that WhatsApp is a platform that everyone already uses, so it's native to them to acquire support on it. No other company's ever done it. There's a reason why it's not optimized efficiently. We're spending to make that happen because we do think there's some big promise in that. Okay, zero security on the websites. Okay, I don't know what that means. I do have a considerable amount of knowledge in architectures of web-based applications, and I can say that zero security on a website would essentially mean things like the ports on the server routing engine, on the Nginx configurations would be open. I can assure you that's not the case. Zero security on the websites would essentially mean that credit card information and account details would be open in inspectable code in any code reader on a Google Chrome browser. Definitely not the case. So zero security on the website seems hyperbolized, but I get it. There's no such thing as too much security. I can ensure you that that can be the case. Yeah, so I think Chris is saying that none of the questions I asked has anything to do with any personal financial information. The first question that was brought up in your support chat was, why did my transfer get auto-deposited but not updated? And we deemed that, we treat our support agents as when you're talking about a specific transfer made by a client, that is now segregated into the private support chats, which is why Javon put you into that chat to talk about that. If you want to talk about stuff like 2FA, be my guest. Did we delete these posts? Do you think I don't have the authority to delete these posts? No, this is very common, good questions. I'm going to address them right now. No 2FA. So first, no security on websites, I think, is hyperbole. No 2FA. We addressed this, and let me address it again. First of all, 2FA stands for two-factor authentication. Could be done via OTP, one-time password to SMS, could be done via one-time password to email, and could be done by modern authenticator apps such as Google Auth or Authy or something like that. The only one we don't have is that last one. And the only reason we don't have that is because when you configure it, and you can't unconfigure it. And we are currently in the midst of upgrading our underlying custodial architecture, which is a huge press release that I'm going to make in the upcoming weeks. I'm just going to drop some of that right now on you. It's called GXIce because it's essentially a way to freeze your cryptocurrency on a hybrid server cold storage unit without having to hold the cold storage, but can ensure where it is at all times. The only company on planet Earth to use that is called Zappo. Zappo is one of the most revered companies in crypto from a security perspective, and what they do is next level, and we've learned a lot by working with and studying from them. They have created a vault system that keeps every one of their coins, their private keys, in the middle of the Swiss Alps somewhere. It's literally in a vault, an industrial military complex, industrial military unit, abandoned by some World War II a grenade, and they've keeping everything in there. Now, we are doing the same thing with this GXIce, except we are externalizing it so that if you wanted to host it yourself, you can do that. And so what I'm getting across is when you're making those like very hardcore infrastructure changes and experimenting every day, 2FA actually prevents you from doing some of those development changes because it is securing the client side, not the server side. Trust me, guys, you don't need to worry about client side security. Let me give you another piece of education. 2FA and your password, your fancy password that you set, whether it's on Global Exchange or on Coinbase or anything, means nothing if the server gets compromised. Because all that means if you don't have 2FA is they can steal the $1,000 in your wallet. If the server is compromised, they're taking everything. So when you prioritize the power of 2FA on a decentralized architecture is very important because there's no server. 2FA in a centralized architecture such as Binance or Coinbase is as important as potentially adding another layer of security to your own funds, which Coinbase wouldn't even release to some guy that wants to wire it out because they have their own 2FA in the backend. So we are solving concrete like infrastructure problems. And I can't even say the word solving, attempting to solve, spending millions of dollars on doing that, literally. And so will we enable 2FA? Absolutely. Justin tried to make a withdrawal today, did he not? And forgot that now there's 2FA email confirmation on every withdrawal. And he didn't make it, so the email retired and the funds got sent back to his account because unless you verify the withdrawal, it's not happening. And we're gonna add the Google Auth, everyone's favorite app, Google Auth. I swear to God, if I get one message about resetting someone's Google Auth, I'm flying to where that is and we're gonna have a conversation.
You're gonna get 50 messages.
No, listen guys, I'm all for 2FA. It's sometimes it's a shallow understanding when you prioritize that over some of the more concrete infrastructure. It's like every scam in cryptocurrency has 2FA. How about I go out there and say that? Every single one. Ones that my friends set up have it. That's the first thing they set up. The illusion of security is easy. So, next point, spelling and grammar issues. Oh, this is my favorite. First of all, do you know who the head copywriter for Invest 150 websites are? His name is Shorupan. And you know how much content Shorupan writes on a given day? You wouldn't believe it. And you know how much spelling mistakes he makes? You wouldn't believe it. I'm only good at talking, not good at actually writing words. I'm actually not a bad writer, but I make a lot of spelling mistakes. And so, this is the reality. We have content editors. We have people that are supposed to overview things. But when it goes from me to the developer, yeah, no one intermediates that. And there are a tremendous amount of spelling mistakes. We will fix it. If you find an issue, we'll fix it. If you feel that that's a hindrance to your credibility, I apologize. Unfortunately, it is not a priority of ours, to be completely frank with you. That is not a priority of ours. Will we eventually get to where all the words are perfect? I'm sure. So
hey, can I share something real quick?
Yeah.
For all of the spelling Nazis, we built a funnel about 12 months ago. Okay, and the funnel closed in 2 months. The funnel closed $125,000 worth of sales. And then some guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I went to your funnel and you got a word spelled wrong." And I said, let me go check. And I went and looked and I said, you know what? You're right. He said, you better change that spelling word. I said, I ain't changing nothing. The sales funnel closed $125,000 in sales.
And that's a very profound point.
Come on.
That's from someone, my digital marketing prowess is juvenile at best. Justin may be the best digital marketer I've ever seen in my life. And what he said is, I've heard that from Russell Brunson, I've heard that from Billie Jean, I've heard that from Gary Vaynerchuk, I've heard that from everyone. Is it a stumbling block to sales? Okay, you better deal with that. I've heard 2FA enough at this point that I could maybe hear that it's a stumbling block to sales. Okay, fine, let's go implement. Let's take the hit on it might cause a little bit more grievance on the development side, but we'll do it. Yeah. No, sorry. So Chris, you were mistaken what I said. In the private chat, if you guys are reading the Zoom chat, he's saying that I told him to go find it. So I apologize if that's what it came across as. Chris had said that there were some spelling mistakes. I said that we'll rectify them. And then I always add that, hey, if you find more, if you can go get them, we'll change them all. And the only reason I add that, and by the way, in the original, for those of you that have been with us for a while, and even the email I send out to like institutional pension funds, investors, in that email it says, hey guys, this is a list of all of our links. It's still in development. If you find any spelling mistakes, let us know. If you find any broken links, let us know. I'm not ashamed of that. So I apologize if that came across as like, I think that's your job. No, it's our job. It's embarrassing for the company if there's spelling mistakes. I'm just saying it's not cataclysmic. And so I want to make that clear. I apologize if it came across as telling you to go do that. We are opening up a feedback page. We are opening up a bugs reporting page. We are going to do a bug bounty in about 2 weeks, which we give away some small amount of GX tokens for people that report bugs clearly, so our developers have a tighter feedback loop. We're doing that stuff. We want to crowdfund the development of this platform from a feature-rich perspective. So I appreciate Chris's point. I'm trying to also illustrate that the other side of the angle, which is, okay, how can we prioritize things? And I think someone said in there, I think it was Carrie, like, oh, do you know how many things I have going on? I love Carrie. I thank you so much for saying that, but I don't expect a customer to sympathize with how many things we have going on. We chose to have that many things going on. But in that choice, we also knew what we're going to be really good at and what we're not. For 5 months, we sucked at community management. That's a pretty important part of our business. Wouldn't you say, Warren? I woke up every day, never thought about it. To this day, I always think of myself as like the Eminem of CEOs because I just talk a lot of shit about myself. Excuse my French. Have you seen the emails that we send out? Like the autoresponder emails? They're garbage. We know that. We get 100 of them every day, every time someone signs up. It's a prioritization list. We are hiring at a rapid rate with about 130 employees. You say, what are those people doing? No, they're doing tasks that are not detail focused. And what you guys are talking about is detail. And let me give you a little bit things. Let me give you a little idea of product development cycles. Details get sorted by customers. They don't get sorted by the company. LinkedIn's job wasn't to make sure that, certain elements of their config was correct. It was to make sure that the engine worked, and then they got 1,000 pissed off customers saying, this is spelled wrong, this link is broken, this color is not the same as that, and they fix, and they fix, and they fix. It's a methodology called agile development, very commonly used. I'm sure most of you know about it. Okay, all I hear is hype. Please show me the hype. I want to get excited sometimes. Show me the hype. I think it's incredible that's the, I'm actually semi-proud every time someone says that, because for the longest time, all I heard is there's no hype. So to some degree, that comes across as a compliment. And I ask questions in public. Go to your super secret encrypted private support. Thank you. WhatsApp is encrypted. That's one of the reasons we chose it. I mean, although we do think that Facebook is kind of spying on it, but more or less it's better than Facebook Messenger. How does that even make sense? Why not have a public forum to discuss this? Can't do that when they tell different people different answers? Well, I hope that this Zoom call puts an end to that. Because every single person is going to see this same exact answer, where the CEO is hyperventilating every flaw that the company has. Okay, so let's go continue down the list. Some of them are valid, some of them are we need to address. Okay, your brokers will make or break your success. We're here to see nothing but success. This is why I love Patrick. I mean, that in the midst of his agony, the only word you can use to describe such a circumstance. Look at the second line. We're here to see nothing but your success. We know that. And you have no idea how much we know that. I mean, we don't make that evident because Warren and myself are not the greatest in-field communicators, particularly when we're focused in on what we're doing. This is the company that aligns incentives. We're not the best software. We're not the best hardware. We're not the best comp plan. We're not the best liquidity. Definitely not the best banking solution. What we've done is we've aligned incentive. You can show me this. This is a really touching sentiment. Show me a company. I hear a lot of things right now saying, oh, it's a great CEO. Forget about that. Show me a company where one of the affiliates would care as much about a customer as Patrick. Just show me one. Show me one where a guy that I met a couple months ago in Patrick, where the company and that affiliate has this much invested interest in the client's success. All right, so let's go to the next point. We lost a big client, David. I hope David's on this call. David's one of those people that really likes to make sure everything is solid before it goes on. He signed up with us a while back, then took a step back as he should because things weren't ready or up to his standards. And then he's saying he lost a big client today. I feel horrible about that because basically David took 4 months off to wait for us to get rolling. Now things are rolling. He hits me back up. He starts probably getting this out. His first prospect probably went on the website yesterday and it didn't work. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, unacceptable. And we don't find it acceptable either. And we are dealing with it in that competency. I liked Carrie's response. I thought Carrie made a good point. Do I think a client is ever lost forever? Unless you have criminally done something against that client, no. But some clients are smart, like some clients have high standards. They see one thing, all right, this is not good enough for me, I'm gone. Okay, fine. I always say this to all of my brokers. I'll say this again. The first 10,000 users of a product are people that are getting on board knowing it sucks. I assure you, you were not one of the first 10,000 users on Facebook. You were probably not even one of the first 10 million. I think I signed up for Facebook in like 2006 and it sucked. It was horrible. It was absolutely garbage compared to today. And imagine the first 10,000, oh my goodness, that would have just been inconceivable. Okay, then I love, again, James's point. James's point said, later on, I'm gonna touch on it, he's not introducing this to people that have those high standards. That seems pretty great idea. Again, should that be the responsibility of our brokers to have to siphon off between early adopting customers and non-early adopting customers? No, I get it. You should be able to introduce this to anyone and be proud. I get that. That's our goal. And in the case that doesn't happen like yesterday, we apologize. And I'll be the first person to reach out to that client myself if you want me to do that as a gesture of, hey, I heard you had a bad experience. How can we make it better? Give us another shot. That type of stuff we can do. All right. Let's rock and roll. Why is there no 2FA? I explained that. Why is the e-transfer auto deposit and you're unavailable to purchase Bitcoin on Sundays? First of all, e-transfer was not auto deposit. Everyone here that made e-transfers 2.5 weeks ago knew it wasn't auto deposit. You know why we turned it to auto deposit? Because no one can agree on a question. The security question destroyed half the e-transfers. Number two, when you don't auto deposit, you are having many variables in the way that people set up their e-transfer, set up their email. I mean, it was a horrible experience. We don't want to accept your money before we want to deposit it. That's a liability. Your institutions work in debts and assets and liabilities. Accepting funds without crediting them is a liability. We, after months, turned on auto deposit. Months. Because of that same issue, it just became an incredible pain for everyone. And more importantly, the customer. Okay. Why is the e-transfer? Yeah.
I just want to give you got 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to postpone I'll have to, can someone, or Justin, Javon, can you just send a message up that the webinar is gonna start 10 minutes late? They can't start without me. Just tell them it's when they click on the link, they're just gonna load, it's gonna click that loading button. Okay. Why are you unable to purchase Bitcoin on Sundays? Okay. This is really, really important to me. Actually, one second. There's another point Chris wanted me to address before going into all of this, which is this one. You list a woman as one of your advisors, the former head of lending at TD. I can't find this woman by that name. Has she ever worked for TD? And there's no title as head of lending. Okay. First of all, has anyone else seen this person? Like, have we talked about this person? I know where Chris seen it, and it's his right to find that information. I just want to know, has this been promoted? Has anyone heard about this except me and Warren? Okay, so it's clearly not something we're lending our credibility. It's not something where we're like, oh, you come give us money so that because we have this big shot. Trust me, she's not a big shot. Warren, I hope you don't mind me saying that.
All good.
Maybe you want to explain who that person actually is and why the name is difficult to find.
Yeah, first of all, it's a maiden name, and it's not a married name, but yeah, somebody that was associated with me. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, so it's a family member of Warren's, and it's a very, very close relationship. That's why he's like, it's an awkward relationship for him to say. And she was in a consultative relationship with TD. So let me explain this. All the Canadian banks have maybe, if a TD says we have 50,000 employees, out of that, only half is directly employed by TD. The other 50% are consultants. I only know that because my uncle runs an IT consulting company whose client is TD, and he literally shows up to TD every day like an employee with the badge and everything. But if you book that on the TD infrastructure, it's not there because they're paying the salary to a corporation. And that's the relationship that person had with them. But trust me, if you want to meet her, talk to Warren. Very, very, very close relationship with Warren. And by no means a big deal, and by no means the underwriting of our credibility. And definitely no one's heard of this person. Lovely lady, but yeah, not the case. Head of lending is okay. It is not a specific unit title. It's like saying vice president. If you go down list and list and list and list and list, head of lending would, if you go down any type of list and you see the word vice president, do you think vice president could be a consultant? Because my uncle is vice president of security at TD Canada Trust. Cybersecurity, let me be very specific. Say security architecture if you want to denominate the title. And if you look on their payroll, it's not there. He's not there. I think they pay him $250,000 to do that job and tell him to show up 3 times a week. He's not there. I know that business well, outsourcing knowledge processing and consultative service to Canadian banks, huge business. And again, there's an element of scrutiny when there's intention involved. Meaning, it's like if my mom is saying, Shorupan, put on your jacket, it's cold outside, then I can at least tie it to the intention and say, she's not trying to get me sick. If my mom is saying, Shorupan, just put on your jacket, and it's hot outside, and she's not giving me the reason, it looks like a level of undiagnosed scrutiny. If we're going out there every day using this woman as a ploy to raise money to sell our product, she's never, I mean, I'm embarrassed that you found out about her. That's the type of situation it is. So by no means is it something that we are baking anything on. If that's, at best it's information that isn't clarified because it doesn't require clarification. Because if you wanted her to walk into the director of TD Canada Trust and get a letter of recommendation, she can have and show that for you tomorrow. No, people don't change. Some people get employed under their family name, especially a woman, but then is living by their husband's name. What if that woman has gotten a divorce like this woman has? Her first name, I assure you, her first name is the same on TD's employee base. Her last name is not. Okay, your address in NYC is a post office box. 99 Wall Street. Does that sound like our address? Let me be clear. Yes, it's a virtual office shared by us and Stripe and many other companies because 99 Wall Street is not available. If anyone had that illusion that we are at 99 Wall Street every day, I apologize. I'll make a video addressing just that. 99 Wall Street is an address that we set up to register our American holdings company, and we have a colleague of ours that runs that office complex and does these shared offices. There's like 10,000 companies that use that address because it's a convenient mailing address. We have other addresses in the United States that are less convenient mailing addresses, and we can publicize those. If you want us to clarify this is only a mail-only address, we will. Go to TransferWise, one of the biggest money transfer platforms in the world. Their American address, I think it's 1800 Wall Street. Also a shared office. I mean, not a shared office, virtual office. Again, the reason I know that, I ran one of the largest shared offices in Toronto called Office Exec, and we sold shit tons of virtual office units exactly to a company like ours. No, but the thing is, inferring a claim is different than hearing the claim directly. That's what, if you read about what would you call it, false advertising laws on the internet. When you talk about false advertising on the internet, any judge in the United States, because I was playing just a fun course at Penn State online just on how to do this type of civil suits. Any judge in the United States would leave it up to the inference that many people will infer information on the internet differently. It's very different than a public service announcement, than retail. That is why if you want to put up a retail sign in Toronto, you have to bend over backwards and like talk to 90 people. You want to make a website, not that hard. The level of scrutiny that is required on the contact page, like I don't know where you saw it, but I believe you saw it at invest.com. The contact page at invest.com saying one of our websites, sorry, we just reset the server, that's why it's the security thing is there. It is saying that one of our 7 addresses is 99 Wall Street, and for us to say that's a US address, and for not to say, well, it's only a mailing address, well, we apologize. Again, not the biggest priority for us. Okay, next point. All right, why when I mentioned all the errors in the websites, oh, you told me to go find them, I apologize for that. Wasn't my intention for you to go find them. Why would that be a job of other than your team? Nope, completely a job of our team. What I was saying was, David Rigo, I don't know if he's on this call, great friend of mine, VP of Sales for Global Exchange. You know, the first deck I made for Global Exchange for a broker dealer, I think had like 99 spelling mistakes on it. And David spent the entire weekend fixing it and sent it to me, and I still didn't fix it for 2.5 weeks. And David had to harass Warren and saying, boss, I cannot send this out without you fixing it. That's why I sent you every single fix error. And so what I was alluding to is if this is costing you the sale, the big money, then I would say that your priority is that. We will accommodate that, but that's not our priority. That maybe I made that claim, maybe I made that statement in a way that was slightly contentious. I apologize for that. Okay, if we can't catch simple spelling mistakes, how can we trust you with money? Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. The greatest people that have stolen money in this world have immaculate spelling. Bernie Madoff had fabulous spelling. A good friend of mine that ran an exchange called Quadriga had fabulous spelling, and he took $120 million. Spelling is not an indicator of integrity, or competency. Spelling is more of an indicator of how well you can actually present yourself. And many studies would indicate that the presentation of a financial firm is actually is a negative correlation. And again, I'm not criticizing your desire for good spelling. I'm on the same page. But to expound on that as well, of course, if you cannot spell on a website, then that indicates that we shouldn't trust you with money. Well, first of all, if that's the case, don't trust us with your money, and you have great standards, and we shouldn't criticize that. But I'm saying is that there's many clear examples where it's an inverse correlation between the two. How does a multi-million-dollar business go allow web pages without them in ears? I'll tell you how the same multi-million-dollar business does incredible amounts of things without testing it. I explained it enough. There are updates that are being made that the developer working beside me doesn't know about. That is an agile development environment. If you looked at the early days, Netflix, Uber, very similar. The entire definition of agile development methodology came after that. Push first, fix later. Push first, fix later. If you want a little dichotomization of how software development was done before Agile, before Facebook, which some would claim is the most agile company on planet Earth, it was done in a method called waterfall. Type that in Google, waterfall development. Waterfall development is you start, you make a 12-month plan. What's the end goal? All right, let's map it out, make sure everything happens on schedule, make sure everyone knows what they're doing, make sure the testing procedures are extreme, tested many times locally and on the server, and then it goes up for the first time. And then Facebook and companies came around and invented this methodology, which is now used by every company on planet Earth, agile methodology, which is exactly what is taught in computer science and Ivy Leagues, etc. Are we a little bit more extreme? Sure. Should we spend some more time on quality assurance? Sure. But I didn't get to this position in my life doing that. And so, like Justin said, until it becomes a self-evident problem, I will adjust. I'm a quite well adjustable person when it comes to that stuff. But I don't think that's a fair, I'm not hiding it. Whoever wants to say, Shorupan, your web pages have spelling mistakes, broken links, I'll be the first to say, boss, tell me where they are, because I probably missed them. If you aren't paying attention to minor details like spelling, what does that say about the rest of your business? It says that our business is growing too fast. And that is the same reason that Uber and Airbnb and Facebook had a tremendous amount of errors, not just on their software stack, but in their logistical systems. And even to this day, they cannot keep up with their logistical demands. You list a woman already handled that. NYC already handled that. I'm hoping this will be a great opportunity. I'm hoping it's a great opportunity for you as well, boss. It's not perfect. It never will be. I assure you this. The moment it's perfect, I am stepping down as CEO because you no longer need me. I'm only good at building a company. Oh, sorry, Alexa, shut up. I'm only good at building a company when I get the ability to break stuff. Okay, when I made a simple purchase of 50 Canadian dollars, see how it works. There's a mystery how the $5 in the transaction. I really want to address this point. $5, where did it go? And then my upline had set a purchase of, upline had turned the purchase price to $1,000 higher. Okay, let me explain because this is not hidden information. When you make a withdrawal to an external address out of global exchange, it costs 0.0005 Bitcoin. That is right now $4. Do you know where we got that number from? Do you think we're so creative that we came up with that ourselves? And we did not. We stole it from Binance. Binance withdrawal fees. So if you want to know where the withdrawal fees went, it's clear. I'll pastor it on my head. We take a 0.0005% withdrawal fee off of every time you're trying to withdraw out of our platform. You know why we do that? The same reason Binance does that. We don't want you to withdraw. We're shameless about it. That's the point. You create an ecosystem to incubate. You incentivize certain behaviors. Not Binance, every single CoinSquare, Kraken, Bitfinex, all the exchanges we plug into, same thing. Do you know how I know that really well? Do you know where I found out about that? Because the first algorithm I built for GXTrade, I went bankrupt on fees because every time the trade would execute and send it back to GXTrade, I'm paying $5 fees. So no, we're not industry different there. That's where your $5 went. It's a fee. Is that the same as blockchain.com? No, blockchain.com doesn't take any withdrawal fees. Doesn't take any withdrawal fees. That's why they're great. That's why they have 70 million customers. But Binance has 100 million customers. So you can, like Warren Buffett says, host a ballet show. Let's play. Watch some ballet. Rock concert. Let's rock concert. Never claimed to be blockchain. Blockchain never claimed to be Binance. That's where that fee went. Now, to other part of your question. Why are upline sets a high fee? I don't know. I mean, if you feel like we didn't inform you about that, then that's our problem. But as soon as you go to the checkout, it tells you what the final price is. If you go into your GX Nitrous account right now and you try to click something, buy coins or whatever it is, buy crypto, it's superimposing your upline's fee right here, GX fee. We don't even let you know that it's the upline. We just say it's a GX fee. So if your upline set a 20% fee, yes, you are succumbing to that. Is that going to take a hit on our brand? Sure, we're willing to take that. We stand by our brokers. I agree with you. He said it should be far better informed. I agree with you. No question about that. Without a doubt, I agree with that. And we will work on that. Communication is not our strong suit. That's self-evident. Okay, so I find your tone of answers to be condescending. Oh boy, I'm sorry about this call then. That's unfortunately how I speak. Yeah, I know you would, and this is the thing, you would have never done that transaction. And sir, I want to make this very clear. If we go to Chris Porter. So this is the message I had. This is the message conversation. I'm only showing this because you said it's okay for me to show it. What did I say? At the end of our long explanation, our long exploitation on what occurred, I said, sir, I started off actually by saying, look, I think you have been misled. Allow me to process a full refund. It's a Shorupan typing, not support agent, Shorupan. Allow me to type a full refund of 50 Canadian back to your account so you don't go through the pain of incurring fees. Number one, fiat deposits are not immediate. Whoever told you this is lying. Crypto withdrawals are not immediate. Whoever told you this is lying. Your upline is setting fees for you. He set a very large fee. We cannot control that. I will never go to a broker and tell him what fees to set. Never. We will take that on the chin and say, well, that's what our broker set. And the fee to make a withdrawal is 0.0005. Yeah, but he's functioning as a broker. You signed up with a link. If you signed, you can only sign up with Global Exchange as a link. Every link, the only way you can erase that fee, Chris, is if you become a broker. As soon as you become a broker, which we're not telling you have to do at any point, your upline no longer sets your fee. Every broker only gets a 1% fee on their own transactions fixed. Their upline still shares in that fee commission, but they don't get to. It's because we feel that our brokers are doing all the hard work and getting all the customers. Once that customer becomes a broker, well, the upline's not doing that much hard work anymore. So I don't think he gets to like extort him on fees. But our upline is doing all the hard, the broker is doing hard work, and on a normal customer who's not it doesn't matter if they're a VP, doesn't matter if they're Shorupan. Shorupan doesn't have an account, Warren doesn't have an account, doesn't matter who it is. They can set their own fees. And should it be explained better? Sure. I'll give you that. It should be explained better. We put it in the fee breakdown, but it should be even explained more explicitly. But let's be clear, on this date, which is on Sunday, I said, allow me to send the entire money back, and I got no response from you. And then I said it again. Please say the word, and I will process the entire $50 back into your account, close your account, as I feel like you've been wrongly misled. And I don't want that to be a conscience on our platform. And then I said it Shorupan. Setting that high of a fee is unconscionable. I mean, that's a personal opinion. Maybe me and you share that opinion. We can talk about that. But as the CEO of a company that is built on the fact that we help our brokers to run their business, this is not our business, this is their business. Then, unfortunately, I cannot agree with you on that. I have to stand behind my broker. But me personally speaking, sure, let's do it. I have received my BTC by the time I saw that message refund. I get it. I'm willing to refund you your fees. Whatever you paid. I don't know. Maybe you got like $38 or something after all of that in coins. I will send you the $12. Heck, because I know how much of a time and I appreciate and respect the hell out of the fact that you got on this call and that you're willing to give us the reality of what you're facing in the field, I will give you another $10, $50 worth of BTC. I know I'm not saying that in a paternal way where I'm trying to like give it to you as some type of pardoning issue. No, I'm just telling you, I respect what you're doing. Exactly. It's not the dollar amount. It's not the money. It's the process you went through, which maybe it sucked. Maybe this process to you sucked. Okay, where's the crime in that? We didn't inform you that this would be the process, or that's why I felt like if maybe someone did inform you it was the incorrect one, and maybe we should hard code some additional prompts. But I want to be very clear on that. Okay, back to Facebook, almost done here, gentlemen. I'm asking you to make it bulletproof, and it's not. Okay. Again, it will not be. And I want to make this clear to everyone watching this video in the future. It will never be bulletproof. Never, ever, ever. Could be $1 million company today, which easily is. Could be $1 billion company, could be $100 billion company. It will not be bulletproof. Anyone who tells you something is bulletproof is lying to you. Doesn't matter if it's a crypto or not. Nothing is bulletproof. Bullets aren't bulletproof. Thanks, Joe. Shout out to Joe. Joe's like, I mean, I know Joe's being a really nice like a supporter here. I just really like Joe a lot. And he's just an incredible, incredible guy. James, talking about this, rocking before market to everyone. I'm studying and learning. Okay. More responsive, I say, have a nice holiday. Love it, love it. Listen, pragmatic. Shorupan, love what you did here. It works for some of my customers. Other customers would laugh. Let me know. I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep talking to you. I'm going to keep communicating. When it's ready for those customers, I'm going to bring it to them. Don't present this to someone if you know that they're the least, like my sister, for example. My sister is the last person to adopt anything. Literally the last person to adopt anything. She's like the most mundane consumer of products. I would not tell her to sign up for this, even if she loved crypto. She is what I would call the last customer. You know who's going after that customer now? Coinbase, after 8 years of being in operation. Because until Coinbase got to where they are today, they would have never been able to get that customer. They've never been able to buy my sister. There's no way. And so I respect what James is saying here. He's saying something about missing commissions, definitely. Digital transactions. I know someone else, I think Leonard Coco emailed me privately about this. Okay, guys, when you were doing converts between Ethereum and Bitcoin inside of your Nitrous office, those weren't getting booked. Like your customers, Ethereum to Bitcoin, were not getting booked. We went and looked at that. I'm going to pull the entire ledger and have the developers put it into your inside of your ledger under quick trade, because at the time, those of you that don't know, is essentially this function used to unlock a quick trade that allowed you to switch between 300 cryptocurrencies. Some of your clients took advantage of that, and the commissions weren't paid out. That's because at the time we didn't have a convert ledger. I'm gonna retroactively pay all those out. To Leonard and to I think James' question was along those lines. And CDIC. Okay, so let's see if I did a webinar 2 days ago. Here, let me just advance to this. They're just pushing it right now. I did a webinar like 2 days ago, and not 2 days ago, literally 3 days ago. And what happened was there was I show investbank.com every day, and investbank.com looks the same every day for the last 2 years. And today it changed. And the reason it changed is because we rebooted our servers and we wanted to put up a new website. But what they put up today was not a finished website. And so I had to wait 6 hours for the developers to come back in so they could put up the right website. And I believe, I can't even say this with a certainty right now because my DevOps guy just came in, but I will ask him. This connection is not private, go show details. Yep, visit this website, see this type of SSL type of stuff needs to be reconfigured every time you restart the server.
I think it just has to do with the certificate. Right?
Yeah, but when you reboot a server, you have to reimpose the certificate every time you do that. But you can't do that until you upload the repo. And so he uploaded the repo, which was the incorrect repo, which is what Chris pointed out. It said that we were Canadian Insurance Deposit. Deposit Insurance. We are not Canadian Deposit Insurance accredited by any means. That means you're collecting fiat currency and insuring the deposit issued by the government, the insurance issued by the government. The reason he saw that, let me show you how transparent I'm willing to be. The reason he saw that is because the reference website for our new investbank.com is from, anyone catch it? If you were smart, you would have been able to catch it off his website, even his screenshot. TD Canada Trust. And so the dummy copy is from TD Canada Trust that went up for 1 day. Of course, TD Canada Trust had that on their website, and rightfully so. If just by chance one person landed on that website today and it thought that we were a part of Canadian Deposit Insurance and then came and deposited $1 million based on that assurance, we would have went to jail. So I appreciate you bringing that out, but I'm also explaining to you the circumstance of the situation and that it's already been rectified. I have convinced everyone to either be a part of this company, large leaders, small leaders, customers, and I've promised them nothing except a system that will solve two tremendous issues. Simplicity for customers by aggregating all the platforms into one place, and a chance to build your own transactional revenue stream. Build, meaning not ever going to be complete. And everyone that signed up with that assurance. I trust me, and this is the last thing I'll say, just, yes, I said I'm ripping TD's bank copy. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, we can go look at it now. It's not TD's bank copy, but that is it. You used a reference website, and the reference website had that same copy. So that's exactly what it is. And then now we changed it. Now it says digital smart contract insurance, I believe is what it says. So let me say one more thing. And I never talk like this, but I'm gonna end it off at this. Trust me, Chris or whoever it is, Steve, anybody, in the crypto sphere, people are used to founders and CEOs being not there. I will give someone $100, not on this call because now you can just Google it, if you name the CEOs of the top 5 exchanges you trade on. I will give you $100. You cannot. However, I assure you, because of how petty I am and how adamantly stubborn I am about the success of this platform, I will be there to answer every single one of your questions in the same manner, where we will come to consensus. There are many CEOs available in crypto. I would love, if you can turn on your mic and name 5, don't type it because typing obviously means that's the thing. You just named a company, you didn't name the CEO. I can name 5, but that's only because some of them I know personally. Most of the exchanges I trade on, I don't even know the CEOs for. So if someone could pronounce the Binance CEO's name, I'll give them $5. Really, he's a cool guy, he's a Canadian. Obviously, I know who that is, but let me be very clear with this one last statement. Trust me, trust me, trust me. Please continue criticizing. Yes, Richard Ellis, I think you can do one. I think that you can do one. I think Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, people can do. I think there's one or two everyone can do. But my point is, you show me someone who's willing to attack the problems like this. GX Pulse is still down. It's because I'm rebuilding it inside of your back office. Good point. GXBroker.com is back up, but GX Pulse is still down because I'm rebuilding inside your back office. And there's some updated schematics. People have been asking for these like visualization tools where their team, essentially I'm making a GX Pulse for each team. And we'll have a Make Meta GX Pulse. Okay, coming back to it. Gentlemen, ladies, please continue criticizing because that's how we get better. But I will tell you one thing. I would focus all my criticism on security and on technical issues. I don't need anybody's help to sell someone on this. Don't need anybody's help to acquire interest. That's something I've been able to do quite effortlessly. And you can ask people that have been around me in any city that I'm in. You want to make an argument about security? Can we improve on security? Every day. Can we improve on product? Every day. I love improving on product. One thing I don't need help with is putting advisors or ripping companies. No. I don't compete with anyone. I assure you of that. I do not compete with anyone. Ask the people that get on calls with me who I compete with. All right, guys, thank you so much. This will obviously all go on YouTube. Again, I might do this every week. This is giving me life. This is giving me this is gonna be my my yoga as they do here in India. Guys, thank you so much. I gotta get on the webinar. These poor people have been waiting for so long. I'm so sad, but I had to do this. I'm excited about it. Michael, David, Patrick, you guys are awesome. I apologize again. Whatever we could control, we will get this done for you. Everyone else, you guys are the best gift any company could have ever asked for. Thank you.
Thank you, Shorupan.